Live. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our Chat to a Champ this afternoon. I am joined by our Sochi Olympian and skeleton athlete, John Farrow, who's joining us from Park City in Utah. John, say hello. How's it going? What have you been up to over the last 3 months?
What have I been up to? So since last time we talked, it was basically off-season training. And then we've transitioned now into the start of the season. Done about 3 weeks pre-season training where we get comfortable on the ice. We learn to get back on the sled and do the sport. And then last week we actually had our first World Cup race. And a top 20 in there, and everything's going smooth. And we're, just going into the middle of the season now.
Awesome. Okay, so we have questions today from schools all around the country. We've got questions from Huntingdale Primary School in WA, Gladstone West State School in Queensland, Farrow Public School in New South Wales, and then North Lakes in New South Wales as well. So we're going to do a lot of learning about skeletons.
Everywhere. That's cool.
A question from Huntingdale in WA. What's the fastest you've ever gone on the ice?
The fastest I've ever gone is 144 kilometers an hour. I think the fastest in competition is about 148 kilometers an hour. So still a little room to get faster, but it was pretty exciting doing that speed.
Awesome. Bit of space for a PB. That's all right. We're always chasing a new personal best.
Definitely.
All right. So Gladstone West want to know, having been to Winter Olympics before, are you more prepped for competition or is it completely different 4 years later?
I have. I got to compete in Sochi, which was my first Winter Olympics. It is a little different now, definitely a little different now. I feel like I know what I'm preparing for. So compared to Sochi, it was all about getting there and like going through the process to become an Olympian. And then this year, these like cycle around, the whole preparation has been different. It's great to know what it's going to be like. And, although it's still the same qualification process, I'm a lot better prepared because I have been to an Olympics before.
Awesome. All right, this question is from Jaden in Year 3 at Farrow. Do you still compete in mountain bike racing?
Oh, that's cool. After Sochi, I did compete in a couple of mountain bike races, more for fun. The whole competition side of mountain biking is very similar to the competition in skeleton. So like I did that so that my mindset could be the same and, I could get that practice, but I wasn't ever pushing it to the level that I did before skeleton racing when I was completely focused on mountain biking. So it was cool to just keep in that racing mindset. But I have stopped it probably about 2 years ago was my last race. So solely wanted to focus on skeleton and I didn't want to risk any big injuries because mountain biking's a pretty risky sport out there. So kind of cut it out for the last 2 years.
Yeah, definitely compared to skeleton, which is one of the more safer sports on the on the sporting scene. All right, this question is from Slater from North Lakes, who wants to know why is it called skeleton?
There's a lot of different stories going around. I think it basically is because it's the frame of the bobsled. It's sort of like the skeleton without the cowling and all the aerodynamic stuff around it. Other people would like to say, it's because you're going to break all the bones in your skeleton because you're just completely exposed. There is one that actually kind of translates from a Norwegian word that's kind of like skelly, which basically means sled. So there's kind of that idea as well. But basically, it's the frame of a bobsled is kind of the main one that's going around, but it's kind of cool to have the other stories around as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this question from Huntingdale Primary. What is the worst injury you've had when you've been training and competing?
Well, I've had a lot of different injuries. The worst one has probably been rupturing my ACL, LCL, and PCL in my left knee. So basically all the ligaments that connect your knee together, I twisted it sideways and it was all bent out of shape. That would have been the hardest to overcome and the most painful one that I've had to go through. And that was actually not on a skeleton track. It was just when I was training and warming up, so just sprinting. So I actually did it running, even though I was at the skeleton race. So that's now my most dangerous sport, is running. So the more we can be on the skeleton sled, the better.
That question kind of runs into our next one, and you can add running into this, but which is more scary, skeleton or downhill mountain biking? Or running, apparently.
So what's more scary, like basically the skeleton sport or downhill mountain biking?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like so close. Like actually doing the sports isn't the scary part, but when things get out of control, it's pretty scary. So you can have sketchy moments on a downhill bike, and like there'll be trees there or rocks that you're going to hit, and you're like, oh, this is going to end bad. But when you get out of control on a skeleton sled at like that 140 kilometers an hour, and you're like you can't brake, you can't stop, there's no safety to catch you. And when you're like out of control and like this is going to end bad, like that's a bad feeling. That's kind of like I want to have. And it usually ends bad too. So I'd say like the scariest moment is skeleton, but 99% of the time we're in control, and everything's safe and cool. So yeah, it's cool when it's
awesome.
Like that.
All right. So our next question is from Brody in year 3. Are you confident that you will win a medal at Pyeongchang?
Oh, Brody, I'd love to say I'm confident. It would be awesome to win a medal in Pyeongchang, but I was 17th in Sochi, and that was Australia's best result before it was 23rd or something like that. So you've got to be realistic in your goals, and you've got to obviously push yourself. But, you don't want to say you're going to win gold medals and all this stuff when, you're not going to sort of push yourself with that goal. So, my realistic goal would be to improve that. I've done a lot of work to become a better athlete and a better slider over the 4 years. I definitely think I can improve that 17th. I put a goal to myself that if I could get into a top 10 in the Olympic Games, would be a huge result for not only me, but Australia and the next athletes coming after. So, I'm definitely confident that I can improve my result on Sochi. Maybe a couple athletes down the track, we might be in the hunt for gold medals. But right now, just doing the best you can for Australia is where I'm at.
Awesome. Okay, so Olivia wants to know, after that crash, how did you convince your mum to let you do skeleton again? It's a good question.
After what crash was it?
After a big crash, how do you convince your mum to let you do skeleton again?
My mum sort of loves it. Like, mum was in so much of the media and the TV in Sochi. She was like front row watching. Maybe the mums have different personality types. Some mums would be like, can't even watch, but my mum was right there. So, I think she kind of goes along with it and loves watching it. I've never heard her like try to say no, or never heard her say like it's too dangerous. She's always been like, you've got to do it. You've got to go. It's great. So my mum's probably a little bit where I get the daredevil side from. So no convincing needed.
That's all right. We like a supportive mum as well.
Totally.
All right. Next question from Huntingdale. How many hours a day do you train at the moment?
When it's off season, we probably put like, 2 hours or so in training, like sprint training or in the gym. On season now, we can be at the track for up to 2 hours. So like a session will go for 2 hours where we're sliding. And then we'll probably go and watch other sessions. So we can go and watch for 2 hours, and then you'll have to go and put in, a gym session or a running session as well, and recovery. So it's a loaded day. We like basically have to be full time when it's on in the season, and we can put in 6 to 8 hours of like work, and usually 2 to 4 hours of that will be training.
Awesome. All righty, this is kind of on the same training like topic. In Australia, there's obviously not a lot of snow, and there's not a skeleton track per se. So what kind of training do you do when you're home?
When we're in Australia, you want to develop your strength and develop your explosive sprinting. So like everyone's seen the movie Cool Runnings, they always recruited sprinters so that they could move the sled fast. And it's the same for us. So everywhere and every country is training the same. So the track's shut down for 6 months of the year because there's no tracks in the Southern Hemisphere. So there's no difference if we're training in Australia compared to the Germans who are training where they live because it's summertime. So we train like sprinters, fast and explosive as possible over that 30 meters. So we're just down at the track, like the athletics track, or in the gym. And yeah, you don't really need the facilities for 6 months of the year.
Awesome. All right, this question's from Mia. She wants to know, how do you feel when you finish a race?
How do I feel when
you finish a race?
Oh, that's so dependent on like my expectation for the race, how I performed, what position I'm in. When you come across the line in the race, there'll be a board with your time on it, and there'll be a number next to that time. And that number's like if you're in first place, second place, third place. So when you come across the line, you have a good idea of how your run went. You kind of know what it's going to be, but there's nothing better than coming across that line and you see the number one. You know, most of the time you don't even look at the time because you're just like, yes, that's number one. If you come across the line and you see like 4 or 5 or you've dropped, you know, it's a really frustrating feeling. So we're always, as soon as we get across that line, we finish that race, we're looking for that number. And yeah, hopefully you've done your best and feel great. And if you're not, you know, you probably just have to reflect on what you did wrong and brush it off and come back next week.
Awesome. All right, we've got another technical question from Amy. Amy wants to know, how do you keep your balance when you're going so fast?
Well, we're really low to the ground on a skeleton sled, so we're probably only, you know, a couple centimeters off the ground, and our sleds are quite wide. So once you're actually on the sled, there's no need to keep your balance. Like, you just kind of lay there. But the hard part is actually keeping your balance when you're sprinting and trying to push that sled. It's such an awkward position, like leaning over and running. If you try that, you know, if you try to sprint as fast as you can and touch the ground, you're probably going to fall over. So you're really unbalanced doing that move. But when we get on the sled and we're going down the track, we're super in control and there's plenty of balance. So we're kind of lucky. So it doesn't matter how fast we're going. We're just focused on keeping that sled in control and on a straight line and where we need to go.
Awesome. All right, our next question from Huntingdale. How did you get involved in the sport of skillet?
I got involved. I was mountain biking in Whistler, and I had an injury at the time, so I was just kind of killing some time, walking around the village. Just, you know, all my friends were riding bikes and having fun, and I was kind of bummed out a bit. And they were recruiting athletes for the Vancouver 2010 games, so there was a lot of information. There was actually a Canadian team there with a bobsled saying, "Hey, come get involved in bobsled and skeleton, and you know, we can show you how to get started." And it was mainly for Canadians, but you know, I was there and I got all the information off the guys, and I went to Calgary and did a school. Basically, you just try it out. You go for like 5 days, see if you like it, and you know, I fell in love with it, and I changed sports, and I've just been going ever since.
Awesome. The rest is history, as they say, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, 10 years ago now.
Oh dear. All right, so this is another great question from Gladstone West State School. How many international competitions do you have leading into Pyeongchang?
Wow, I was trying to add this up just today. Cup competitions, which would have been probably close to about 40 World Cup competitions, but we have lower tiered races as well. So in total, I've been doing it now, it's my 10th year. The maximum races I've done is 16. The least I've done is about 8. So, you know, let's average that out 12. It could be near about 120 competitions over my career would be, I guess.
Awesome. And that's just into 2 Olympic Games. So quite a lot of racing goes in for each Games, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All righty. This question is from Billy, who wants to know if you're going to the Olympic Games with friends or family, or do you know other athletes competing?
Oh, we are such good friends on tour. We have a lot of, like, not only teammates, but friends with other nations as well. So when you go to the games, you'll be in the village with the Australian team. We vibe, you know, as a great team vibe there with all the other athletes and the other disciplines that go. But also friends with the athletes I compete with and see all the time. So let me just get rid of this. So my mum went to the last games, and there's a few friends and family now that want to come to this games. So I'll probably be focused on my event and not see my friends and family until that event's over. But hopefully I can share that with them when I'm finished, and the experience with everyone would be awesome. So yeah, there will be a couple of friends and family there, but more surrounded with the Australian team and the friends from other nations in the sport I do.
Excellent. All right, this question is from Isabella, who wants to know, how do you keep your determination and confidence up to return to your sport after an injury?
Yeah, Isabella, that's a great question, because as athletes, you know, we have such emotional like ranges. Like you could be up from one run, and then you have like a run that's bad and you go down. So when you have an injury, it is extremely hard to sort of like bounce back and keep that motivation up. My thing that kept me going was like a clear like goal. So setting a goal of what you wanted to achieve and how important it is to you. And if you're injured and you haven't achieved that, it adds fuel to your recovery. It helps you wake up and do it if you didn't have that goal in place. So simple thing like, you know, writing your goals down, what you want to achieve, you know, before you even start. If you get that down, when the bad times come, injuries, bad races, whatever it is, you know, you're always going to look back at that and want to achieve it. So the biggest thing that pulled me through was having a solid goal and not wanting to give up on that goal.
Awesome. All right, this question from Huntingdale is a good one. How much can you actually see when you're going that fast down the track?
You can see a lot. Like if you want to, you can lift your head up and like look around, but it's slow. You know, we can't control the sled with our head up, and you know, it's a aerodynamic brake. So the best is when we don't see anything at all. So just sliding today, even there's a part of the track that's kind of straight and it's very easy, and I was like, just put my head down and not look, because I know where I'm going and I want the best aerodynamic form. So really, if you want to see a lot, you can, but it's not the fastest. We try to see just enough so we know where we're going and what we're doing, and that we're safe. And yeah, that's the best way and the fastest way to get down the track.
Awesome. All right, this question is from Queensland. You are in Park City, Utah at the moment. Is that a training venue of choice, or is it one that the Australian team have decided to use? What's the reason for you being in Utah?
Right now, I'm here for a competition. However, it is a training venue that I've chosen before. So I lived here with my girlfriend last year, and you know, we trained, and I based myself in Park City, Utah. And the aerials team also bases themselves in Park City, Utah. And the biggest reason is because of facilities. So, you know, there's not too many places that you can do this sport, and Park City has a great facility, and you know, I really liked it here. So I did base myself here. But now I'm here purely for a World Cup competition, the second World Cup race of the year. And that's what brings me back. Awesome.
All right, another question from Carryong Public School. This one's from Tamsin. How do you train for the Winter Games in Australia when there is no snow or ice?
Yes, Tamsin. So, you know, we have that 6 months of the year where there's no snow or no ice anywhere in the world. So we've got to train like sprinters. But then when the snow and the ice comes around, and you know, there is tracks that are open, we have to travel. So we have to go to, you know, America, Canada, or all around Europe, or now Pyeongchang, and you know, go and do the tracks. So we can't do it in Australia. So basically, we're on tour for like 6 months of the year, you know, doing the sport.
Awesome. All right, here's a question from North Lakes Public School. How much training does it take to be strong enough for skeleton?
It takes a lot, like a lot more than you think. You know, when I first got into it, I thought like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty strong. I'm a biker, and you know, I'm, you know, a good athlete. And then the more you get into it, it's like we only have 30 meters to sprint. You know, so like your shortest running race in the Olympics is 100 meters. The shortest race that they do in athletics is like 60 meters. So we basically have to pack all this power into a tiny little length of space, and that takes a lot of strength and a lot of explosive strength. And yeah, it takes years to be able to develop your body to the level where you can be fast and just explode over 15 meters and get as much start as possible.
Awesome. All right, here's a good question from Huntingdale. What's your diet like, and do you have to eat any specific foods or watch your weight before you race?
Yeah, I do. Most of the year it's fine. I can just eat like, healthy, anything that's kind of building muscle and making sure that I can train properly. So, in the off season, I'll have like lots of carbs and protein and anything that just gives me the energy I need. When we get into competition, so like currently right now, I'm trying to like lose a bit of weight so that I can be more explosive, So me pushing 90 kilos off the start line is going to be slower than if I'm pushing 85. So my diet comes into play right now. I can't do a lot of exercise and tire myself out to lose that weight. So I've really got to be kind of clean with what I'm eating. And that just basically means like, good vegetables and a good protein source. And, don't snack and kind of don't just eat that junk food, that tempting food. And, you can really monitor your weight. So it's not extremely strict, but basically it's just like a little bit of weight monitoring. And, yeah, we kind of try and use that to be as fast as possible.
Awesome. All right, here's another question from Gladstone West. How is the Olympic competition run? Do you have to qualify at a major event first, and then how many competitors are there throughout the stages of the Olympic Games?
There is 30 competitors in the Olympic Games, and we have to qualify this year. So to qualify, there is 7 races, and in those races we get points. And then after the 7 races, your points total will give you a world ranking. So we kind of do this tour now. We do those 7 races. We try to get the best results we can and get as much points to get a high world ranking. You've kind of got to be ranked. You absolutely must be ranked in the top 60 in the world. There's no, you can't go if you don't show that you actually have potential. But in the male field, it's very strong. And I think I was ranked about 34th in the world when I qualified for Sochi, and I was, kind of in the 25th ranked area. So you need to. It takes a lot of consistency to qualify. One result isn't going to get it, or 2 results ain't going to get it. It's just about being consistent across those 7 races and getting as much points as you can. Yeah, and we've got to get there like anyone else. So it's 7 stressful races.
Awesome stuff. All right, this question is from Braden, who wants to know, how old were you when you started to compete in competitive sports when you were younger?
Yeah, I was. I started playing rugby league when I was quite young, but I signed a contract when I was about 14. So I started being put onto competitive teams that involved like graded playing basically at 14, and yeah, I've kind of been an athlete ever since that. Like, although I've changed and switched sports, I remember when like signing a contract and it was kind of serious. I was like, all right, this is like a new deal now, and I kind of changed up how I viewed it.
Awesome. All right, this is a great question from Petra. I was talking to Jackie earlier on our previous Petrol Champ about this. Does it get harder to do your race as the day gets warmer? Does the ice get softer and more scratched up? At 8 degrees at the moment in Park City, which is too hot.
Yeah, it can. There's so many factors that go into the ice temps and weather temps. It's something we're constantly monitoring and we're constantly looking at because it changes the ice dramatically. The temperature isn't just the one thing you look at. You need to look at things like humidity as well. So like if you look in your refrigerator and there's ice there, it's probably quite frosty because it's so humid in there. Or they're trying to make that sort of ice. Whereas if you like open your refrigerator and it got to 8 degrees Celsius, it would melt and it would become quite slippery. So there's like a lot of factors. If you have a really cold night and it gets down to like -12, and then you get like a nice bit of sun on that hard ice, it's going to put that like little bit of water on there so we slide quicker. And vice versa, if it's kind of like raining and cloudy and there's lots of moisture in the air, it'll frost up and it'll slow us down. So looking at the temperatures is a big part of our sport, and it's a big part of going fast. So it's not as simple as like, oh, it gets soft, now it's going to be slow. It's kind of a little bit of a science behind it. And, you know, I've had to basically become a little bit of a weatherman over the years so I can predict what's going to happen.
Awesome stuff. All right, another one from Huntingdale. Do you have a job or are you a full-time sportsman? How do you support yourself?
I definitely have a job. You know, at the level that we're at with Skeleton, is not much prize money. You have to be basically like really kind of top 10 or at least top 5 in the world to be full-time. So for me, it's about working in the summer when I can kind of train after work and I can manage that quite easily, and saving up enough money to get me through the season. We do get helped out with government grants, so you know the AOC and their partners help us out. I've got an NSWIS scholarship, which is what I'm wearing right now. They help us out, which is New South Wales Institute of Sport, and OWIA, the Olympic Winter Institute of Australia. They help us with funds as well. So we do get help, but to be able to compete and do it full time, we still kind of need to work as well. So not completely professional, but yeah, it's good to have 6 months off and be able to focus on the sport when I need to.
Yeah, awesome stuff. All right, do you have any idea of the time you're doing while you're competing in the race, or is it a surprise at the end?
Oh, you totally know. Yeah, like just one little move, depending on where you are on the track, if it's steep or flat, you know if that's going to scrub off time. So you'll know if you've done a great run. You'll come across the line, and before you even see the time, you'll know it's fast. You may not be able to predict it exactly, but you can kind of be like, that was terrible, that was like, it was okay, or that was like amazing, you know. And then you combine that in with like the equipment and the weather sort of things that we're going on about before. You've got a good idea of what time you've done before you cross the line. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, this question is from Cadence. What food do you find gives you the best energy for your body in preparation for the Olympic Games?
Yeah, that's one that we have to like kind of, it's like trial and error. I found that before competition, I don't actually like eating any solid food. So, you know, I'll have like a carbohydrate drink or like a meal replacement drink, and I find that helps my muscles feel a lot better. Having solid food and eating a lot, although it gives you energy, maybe later, it will take away a lot of blood from your stomach, which kind of, sorry, not take away a lot of blood from your stomach. All the blood will be drawn to your stomach to break down that heavy meal. So that's why I like to have the liquid diet and make sure I get my energy that way. And I feel that I perform better like that. But every athlete's different, you know. Like a lot of athletes will, you know, they want like a caffeine drink because it'll fire them up, you know, like a coffee or something. Or some athletes will have to have bacon and eggs because it's just their normal routine. So, you know, we're all pretty personalized as to what gives us the best result. But I've found with athletes, they really know what they need to do before the race to perform the best.
Awesome stuff. All right, this is our last question today from our schools. Who do you think is the toughest competitor in the sport of skeleton in the world?
The toughest competitor, it's got to be Martin Stukas right now. He's been like on top of the game for so long. I think the guy's won about 40 World Cup races. What makes Martin's tough though, I think, is that he's got silver medal in Vancouver and he got a silver medal in Sochi, and both times he lost to the host nation because they have their own track and they get a lot of practice. Right now, he's in a battle with the highest ranked Korean. You know, so to see this kind of pattern repeating itself over and over again, when you've come second twice in Olympics and you've been so dominant, I think takes a lot of toughness. Like the mental toughness of that guy right now, seeing this kind of play out, has to be so high. And I really hope he performs amazingly at this Olympics, because he deserves it. So, yeah, toughest competitor right now would be Martin Stukas for sure.
Awesome. He is from Latvia, is that correct?
Latvian, yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, we had some awesome questions today from our schools. We actually had a lot more, but I know that it's getting late in the night over there, and I'm sure John has to head to bed so he can get up early and train and be on his game tomorrow. But John, maybe you can just quickly run us through what it's less than 3 months now until the Winter Olympic opening ceremony, which is very exciting. What are you doing over the next sort of 3 months in your preparation?
Yeah, so it's right into those competitions. So I've had one qualifying race, I'm at a second, and I've got another 5 to go. I'll be in America for another 2 to 3 weeks, and then I go to Europe for another 4 races there. And then once all the racing's finished, we'll have about 2 weeks to prepare, where we'll just like get our bodies back in check, a lot of physio, a lot of recovery, and then make any final adjustments we need on the sleds and equipment before we go. So, you know, it's a packed 3 months, and it's all exciting, and we just got to do it and get prepared for the game so we can perform and bring our best results home.
Awesome. And our schools can very much look forward to chatting with you over at the Winter Olympics. So they'll have to we've got lots of questions still that we can take with us, and they'll have to kind of follow your journey along, and they'll be chatting to you after you compete so we can talk about your Olympic competition and stuff as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for the questions. Keep them coming. It's great. And thank you for the support. You know, we all love it, because, you know, we need that support when we're away from Australia and away from our friends and family. So get behind us, and yeah, it really helps us out. We love it. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, John. I'm sure our schools will look forward to chatting to you again soon. So give us a big wave. Goodbye.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right.